Hello, dear friends. It's 26th today. We have an update on Krokus City. Found out one of my friends' daughter was working the ticket counters. Well, there's a lot of teenagers that do that. They're teenage jobs. In her case, thank God, she got moved last minute from being at the front taking tickets, being at the front that these animals came through. And moved into the actual theater on the third floor, helping seat people. So, and she's gone through various cadet training. She's 15. She went through cadet training. So, once she realized that sound was actual gunshots, she was able to keep her wits about her. So, yeah, that just reinforces anybody that says, "Oh, kids shouldn't be militarized." That age, oh yeah, they should, because it helps them, it builds survival skills. Now, let's begin. U.S., as we said before, U.S., Britain, and Canada, the three Anglo bastards there, put out a warning on 8th of March to citizens. And when I'm bastards, I mean the governments and the elites are the scum of humanity. With very few exceptions. There are exceptions, of course. Marjorie Greene, for example, in the U.S., Rand Paul. But these are very, very few exceptions. I think they keep them around just to say, look, there's plurality. There's other views. Not that these people ever get really listened to, they just get ignored. And the people that support the actions of these animals are no better. And okay, I'm not going to get off on that tangent. Okay, so back to our story. So they put out for 8th of March. And of course, we know the terror attack happened later, almost 2 weeks later. Why? Well, in surveillance of the video surveillance around the parking lot. Okay, first of all, these guys came in a white car with a black roof. Pretty damn rare. At least in Russia. So a light automobile with a black roof and a white body. It's one of those things that kind of stands out. Not what you're taught if you're being a spy. So, you usually go for something that doesn't stand out. Some minivan or some taxi car or something like that. So anyways, their car was seen in surveillance around the 8th. And in the 8th, on the 8th, there was a concert there from Shaman. Shaman is a very popular, patriotic, right conservative singer. Very popular in Russia right now. So apparently they were planning a terrorist attack on the 8th at his concert. But the problem is Shaman's very popular, as I said, and there's a lot of rich people and people in government that went to see a concert, and they came with armed bodyguards, and the armed bodyguards stayed on the reception on the first floor while their bosses, or the kids that are bosses, went to see the concert. So apparently these guys these animals saw the armed bodyguards and decided not to risk it. Now, to begin with, right now, of course, America's position is these were Islamic terrorists. We don't have anything to do with it. Never mind, America created Islamic terrorism back about 47 years ago for Afghanistan. But we'll just ignore that little fact. And that IGIL is an American tool. We'll just ignore that little fact. It pops up wherever America doesn't like some guy's government. These aren't Islamic terrorists for several reasons. First of all, for those of you who are not in the know, right now is Ramadan, the holy month for Muslims. Islamics don't normally commit terror acts during Ramadan. It's the holy month. They'll do it right afterwards. It's a pretty rare bird that'll do terror acts while they're supposed to be fasting and everything else. 1. 2. Jihadists don't run away. They've come to become martyrs and get their 72 virgins. They're not running away. They're going to be standing there and shooting it out to the last bullet, the last grenade, and until they get killed. These guys scrammed. They were in and out in about 15 minutes. They weren't, well, one of them wound up sticking around a lot longer, but he got tackled. He went off in a separate direction from the other three and got tackled and taken out by his would-be victims. Got his eyeball knocked out, too. Sure knocked out his balls through his throat. Believe me, what I would do to these people wouldn't rate an R rating, wouldn't rate an X rating for violence. And I'm not the only one. Anyways, so yeah, apparently the plan was the 8th, right in time for their owners to put out their warnings for their citizens. When the U.S. comes running 55 minutes from the start of the terror act, oh, it's not us, and it's definitely not Ukraine. So it is you, and it's definitely Ukraine. I mean, they literally 55 minutes from news breaking, the U.S. State Department is already putting out something. You don't hear things like that. They don't do it that fast. And then right off the bat, the Ukrainians, all their internet trolls and the American internet trolls start putting out pictures of jihadists. This ISIS-K. ISIS is a creation of the CIA to begin with. ISIS-K doesn't even exist. It's not even a creation outside of on paper. Now, what we know, because all four of them have been taken prisoner and they're singing. First of all, the pictures of the one guy on his knees shaking, he's not shaking from fear, he's shaking from withdrawal. So they had him stoked up pretty well. So this scum, one of them is a Ukrainian citizen, has been fighting for the Nazis, because between Islamics and Nazis, there isn't that much of a difference in ideology, if we're really going to talk about it. So he had his Ukrainian passport, which has been posted up numerous times now since it happened. And they tried to escape back to Ukraine through Bryansk province. So they were following. I mean, you get one hell of an inconspicuous car there. Yeah, with a black roof and a white body. So they, once FSB figured out which way they were heading, and they let them get out of any proximity of any villages, anywhere they could take hostages, and then took them down in a forest. So these guys they went through training in Turkey. The Turks are claiming they don't know about these things. Gonna go take them down. Yeah, okay. Well, they went through training in Turkey. B, they got recruited in Ukraine by, if I remember correctly, Andrei Yermanov, if I remember his name correctly. This guy is former head of the SBU, which is the Ukrainian security organization, aka the terrorist organization that, well, it was transformed into a terrorist organization by the U.S. and by the English for the last 10 years. As New York Times let us know a month ago. So, this guy is now, the former head of SBU, is now head of the embassy in Tajikistan, where he recruits people. Well, since then, we've had Budanov, who's head of all security services and special services, come out to a journalist, an American journalist, and say how thrilled he is that this happened, and how there'll be more fun things like this deeper and deeper in Russia. And Maryuk, who's director of the current director of SBU, came out to a Ukrainian journalist and claimed credit for all the terrorist attacks, except for this one, but every other terrorist attack that's happened in Russia. Yeah, we did it, ha ha ha. So if there's any question that was before that Ukraine is a terrorist state sponsored by other terrorist sponsors and owned and financed by terrorist sponsors, that would be you, Washington. Neck deep in human blood. There is no more doubts. Your proxies have opened their mouths. Thank you very much. And Biden and your little whores that are around you are all criminals. War criminals to the last one. Because you are state sponsors of terrorism. And so are the English, and so are the rest. And you know, I'll tell you this. What they did accomplish is they're not going to break Russians. You're not going to break Russians with terrorism. You're not going to break Russians in war. You're just going to piss people off. But what the Ukrainians accomplished, first of all, is hatred. You know, the amount of commentary from the Ukrainian side, from the average hachol, happy and thrilled about this mass murder, and oh, how we want more and more. You know what? Russians were very mild to the Ukrainian army, except for the SS battalions who got full brunt. Except for maybe, you know, if this happened the other way around, there'd be maybe a 5, 7, maximum 10% of Russians who would be writing this kind of crap. In Ukraine, it's like 90%. There's no mercy left. The anger and the hatred is now rising. Yeah, you're right. We're not brothers. We're going to friggin' Gaza Western Ukraine before this is over. Take a long, good look at Gaza. Because that's coming to you. And you know what else? Anybody that still had an inkling liberal stupidity, thinking that somehow we can get along with the Europeans, with the scum. Yeah, well, you know, I didn't see any Russian flags on the Eiffel Tower or on the Brandenburg Gate the way they put up for anything and anywhere else. And you basically even barely got an acknowledgement out of that scum that's called Europe about this. And for you people that are in Europe, they're constantly screaming, it's not us, it's the government. Well, the vast majority you still support your governments. So yes. We're glad there are people that don't support those governments. But if all you do is sit on the couch or watch my video and watch a bunch of videos and go, like, and I don't support my government, that's it, you're supporting your government. You're supporting your government in everything evil that it does. Because to stand up to evil means actually standing your arses up and doing something about it. Not liking or watching some other videos of somebody else. Actually doing something about it. Otherwise, there's no difference. Like, you know, when Nazi Germany was being bombed, do you know what percentage of the population held membership in the National Socialist Workers' Party? 10%. Maybe 11. That's it. You know, war, nobody asks what party membership you're in. You either stand up and stop the psychopaths that are charging you into war, or you pay the consequences. That's it. And your children pay the consequences, and their children pay the consequences, and so on and so on. I mean, that's really how simple it all is. It's not complex. The complex part is actually doing something. So, that's how it is. So obviously, beyond any shadow of a doubt, Washington is at least partially compliant in this. At the very minimum, they are compliant in murder because they created the animals, they armed the animals, and they pointed them at the target. And if you do that in a legal court, you are compliant with whatever crime your animal there commits. You can't get away with, well, we didn't know. Yeah, well, that doesn't work. In no court of law does that work. That's exactly what we're hearing from Washington. At the very minimum, the Biden Nazi-loving, terrorist-sponsoring regime created these monsters and now can't control them. At the worst case, they're absolutely controlling them. Because after all, that fat cow Newland, what did she say? Oh, we've got a bunch of asymmetric surprises for Moscow. Well, we know what asymmetric in her case means. Terrorism. The favorite tool of the United States government for the last 40 years. If you can't bomb them into submission, we'll just terrorize them. Or if we can't bomb them because they'll bomb us, we'll just sponsor terror. All in the name of liberal democracy or some other hogwash. So there. That's the updates right now. The SBU building has been destroyed, and things are about to get real bad for Ukraine. And they are now targeting all NATO troops that are presently advisors anymore. I mean, this isn't just accidentally or send a message hit. This is, we're going into extermination mode of any NATO personnel. So if you know any NATO personnel in Ukraine, or if you are NATO personnel in Ukraine, and you don't unass Ukraine, at least be nice enough, be loving enough for your mothers and your wives to send them a letter. Because it's probably good chance it may be your last one. Things have are getting way escalated. And believe me, as angry and barely hold himself back as Vladimir Vladimirovich was, he is the restraining hand in Russia. Because the vast majority of people, if asked, they'll probably be throwing nuclear bombs at the West by now and going into full extermination mode. I mean, there's the psychological red lines are crossed for society. You want to exterminate us? We'll exterminate you. That's where we're at right now. That's it. There's no more maneuver room, really. It's war. When the secretary, when the spokesperson for Vladimir Vladimirovich came out and said, this is war. The special military operation is over. This is war. So, take it as you want it. This is where we're at. And all the people that didn't do anything, so maybe watch my video or somebody else's video, said, oh, this is horrible and all that, and your concerns ended, well, congratulations. We are where we are because of people not doing anything. Not because those morons that are brainwashed and following whatever their owners in Washington or in London or in Berlin tell them to do. No. It's because of people who know better. The people who know better and keep throwing their hands up. There's nothing I can do, or I won't do anything, or this or that, or blame the government, not me. But you could do something. Now we're going to be in conventional war. I'm sure there's going to be. Whether we go to nuclear, well, I hope not. But who knows? We'll live and see. Go with God.